welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy. This is from Patreon subscriber Rgold, who gave me a open-ended dealer's choice to prepare for Eternal Weekend, whatever I needed to do for that. Shout out to the BoshNRoll community, by the way. I've got a bunch of people who gave me dealer's choice leagues to practice for Eternal Weekend, and this is the nicest and most supportive thing you could possibly do for me during Eternal Weekend season. When I get to make content while I do my testing, just the best. Thank you to everyone and Rgold for you today. This is Dimir Tempo. You've seen me play it before. I've played it in a bunch of real-life events lately. If you've been watching my videos, you know I had a brief love affair with the blue-white blink deck from Pokemoki. I have one video up already. I have another recorded, but it's going to come out later just to space out the content a little bit. I played that blue-white deck to a top 8 finish at the MagicCon Atlanta Legacy Cup. I think it's good. But it's missing one really important thing for me for a giant tournament like Eternal Weekend, and that's Thoughtseize. In the Atlanta Legacy Cup, my 2 losses in the tournament were I lost to Bug Beans in the Swiss, and I lost to Dimir Reanimator in the top 8. And the card Thoughtseize just cut me apart. I've been saying for months this is the most important card in Legacy. Tamiyo is the most bannable card. Thoughtseize is the most important card. Those are my 2 takes on Legacy for now. And I just got carved up playing a fair blue-white deck by people who had Thoughtseize in their deck. And in a bunch of the matchups where I wasn't playing against Thoughtseize, I wish I had it. I played against a lot of show and tell in that tournament, which is something that deck's not really built for. And when you have Thoughtseize and Force of Will in your deck, you don't really have to be built for anything. The floor is very high on how bad any matchup can be when you can reach in and take their best card, while also building a plan around the cards that you leave behind. Information is power, and I think over a tournament like Eternal Weekend, I should leverage information, which leverages power, and being able to sculpt a game plan around Thoughtseize is what's going to be my determining factor here. This video is coming out after Eternal Weekend. My Patreon will have known that this is what I went with by the time Eternal Weekend rolls around. By now, you all will know how I have done at Eternal Weekend. But as always, I'm recording from the distant past. Dimir Tempo is great, and as always, I look to Eco Baronin for inspiration on how to build the list. He has done one thing that I was planning on doing, I'd come to myself, and he has done some other incredible things that I didn't think of myself, but I'm excited to use. The thing that I did think of was, days isn't that important to this plan. You need some number of them to keep your opponent honest, or to cash out in a wasteland game, keep people off balance. Playing this deck without days just becomes Dimir Midrange, which is a different deck that I've played on the channel a couple times. You can basically play this deck without days or wasteland in it, and it just becomes a different deck, but you get to play all the same cards otherwise. But this Dimir Tempo deck in Nethergoyf is not Delver of Secrets, it's not Ragavan, it's not Psychic Frog, it's not even Tamiyo. This thing heats up slow. It does crunch pretty hard when it gets there, but it takes a while. It's not like your opponent must act on turn 1 or 2 to deal with this, or else they're buried. And that leads to longer games. And days falls off in lower games. I've also noticed that Murktide Regent is one of the softest gaps in this deck's plan. And this list from Eco Baronin went from 3 days down to 2, and went from 1 Brazen Borrower up to 2. Those are both of the boxes that I was planning on checking with the list anyway. But out of the sideboard, he's doing 2 very, very, very cool things. One is Dread of Night. Ancient technology. I've registered this many times in Legacy before. Single black for an enchantment. White creatures get -1/-1. That is Nomad's Encore. Doesn't work anymore. That is Ocelot Pride and all the tokens it made. Whether you catch it on the front or the back, doesn't matter. It's a Wrath of God if they already have a few. It's a preactive counterspell if they don't have any. Dread of Night, awesome there. If you happen to queue into Death and Taxes, which is always more popular in paper than it is online, but has also been making a resurgence online. It hits a bunch of their stuff as well. Makes it tough for them to stick a permanent like Flicker Wisp, Recruiter. They're all just gone. This one makes a ton of sense. The other one, this is the real genius. Twisted Image. We used to use this back in the standard days to kill Spellskites, and here it's being used to kill Tamiyo. Switch target creature's power and toughness on a turn, draw a card. 1 mana Vindicate at instant speed on Tamiyo and it cantrips. It's really only good against Tamiyo, but look at the metagame. It's full of Tamiyo decks. This is a massive mirror breaker. It's good against control, even Nadu's up to 4 Tamiyos right now. Like this is a place to be. And the fail case is it's blue and it cantrips for 1. This card can never be too bad, and when it's the nuts, it is the nuts. I'm going to get in and play this league with this deck. This is one of my last real testing sessions before Eternal Weekend. I'm recording this about 10 days before the event starts. And in between all, content creation and everything, recording all the other decks that people send me, I won't get to be sweaty that much. So here is a sweaty Eternal Weekend testing league with a bunch of cool tech from Eco Baronin. Let's do it. I'm proud to announce the Gold Sabertooth Strikes Back Kickstarter. Until October 22nd, you can back the project for access to 10 playmats from one of Magic's favorite community artists. He's bringing back fan favorites Kinnan, Etali, Kenrith, and Urza in new fuzzy and foil treatments, plus 6 new mats featuring Amulet Titan and Eldrazi, plus 4 more to be voted on by you, the backers, which Gold Sabertooth will draw live on stream every Monday. Get 18 classic Gold Saber tokens available in foil for the first time. Get involved in the voting and claim your rewards by using my link in the video description to back the Gold Sabertooth Strikes Back Kickstarter today. I'm on the play in round 1, which is where I want to be. No lands is not where I want to be. Mulligan. Oh baby, welcome to the 19 land experience. I will say having 21 lands, including 7 basics in the blue-white blink deck was really nice. And when you play Dimir Tempo or any Delver style deck, you will have these hands where you have to mull to 5 to find a land, or you got to keep a 7 that's a 1-lander. Holy smokes. I mean, we're just running bad at this point. Seeing 21 cards without a colored source is pretty fucked up. All right, cool. But check this out. I get to keep 4 of these. And I'm going to get rid of Wasteland, Murktide Regent, and I could get rid of Brainstorm, or I could get rid of Nethergoyf. I think I'm going to keep the Brainstorm. And after all that, mull to 4, Thoughtseize on 1, get to play on basics. We'll see how bad that really even was. I mean, it was bad, don't get me wrong, but game on. Thoughtseize does a lot. Okay, it's the whole last mirror match. I have to take Tamiyo here. That Bowmaster is going to be bad for me too. Yeah, this is not a match you want to be down 3 cards in. You don't want to be down 3 cards in any match, but especially in the mirror where this is literally just about counting your permanents for the most part. Who can stick a thing first, whether that thing is a Bowmaster, a Tamiyo, or a Murktide. They can't fetch basic Swamp, though, with the Scalding Tarn. And, notice, like I was saying, my opponent has a 1-lander over there. It's kind of the price of doing business. Okay, I am going to Fatal Push here. I don't want to take that damage. I'm going to risk a little bit here. The Bowmaster. There's Spellbomb. Okay, my advantage is I have more mana than my opponent. That won't necessarily be true for very long. I'm going to get Undercity Sewers here. If they draw Wasteland, they're going to need it to cast Bowmaster, so they haven't even really solved their problem. I'm going to dump Blue to Delta. If I can find a Wasteland here, we have a real shot at this game. Ponder, that's more looks at Wasteland. Wow, Force Pitching Kaito. That's how worried they are about Wasteland over there. I'll take it. Well, we almost caught up to the mulligan here. Disappointing. Are they going to jam the Bowmaster? Or what? I can dance this Brainstorm around their Bowmaster for a little while. Cool, all right. Now I have a better answer to Bowmaster. Hey, they're fetching in the end step. Getting a Sewer. I'm going to Brainstorm right now while they can't Bowmaster it. Or daze it, or really do anything to it. Okay, I'm going to put back, I think, Tamiyo Bowmaster in that order. And if they found a Wasteland now, I'm in trouble. They did keep their Surveil on top. They can just jam off this Spellbomb to draw a card. I probably would here. We're in a low resource situation where every card matters. They've cooked my graveyard. Okay, they're just passing with some mana up. I know they have Fatal Push in their hand. Yeah, I'm gonna just play chicken with them here. If they play their Bowmaster, I'll hit it with mine. I can't play around Daze. It's just not available to me. I know they can just push right back, but we gotta take the trades where we can get them. If they shove Murktide here, that sucks. Next turn, I can cover that. But I haven't tested them. They haven't tested me for a Daze yet. They have to think about it. Like that, Bowmaster is the first thing I would have dazed. Okay. Unfortunate. That's probably better for me than a Murktide would have been, but it's pretty bad regardless. All right, I'm going to attack because obviously they're not going to block. Tamiyo goes in, Spellbomb goes in. They've been missing land drops, so they'd have to decide between Fatal Push and Murktide here. I really need the card off of Nile Spellbomb. I just have to hope that they don't have Murktide for a turn. There's the push. Goodbye, Tamiyo. If they fetch here, I'll probably just Spellbomb. Okay, Tamiyo. A removal spell would be a great draw here. Force of Will. Right, I think I just have to ponder and take my medicine. Netherglyph's pretty big, but Thoughtseize Kaito are not helpful. I gotta shuffle. Land. Alright, Spellbomb you and I'll draw a card. This is where being down 3 cards matters, and this is why Daze... Alright, they got me. Like, cutting the Daze out of the list, it was turn 7. Daze was important for a little while, but it became a bad draw at one point. And this matchup just isn't fast. I mulled a 4, and that was still a 7-turn game that was kind of competitive down the stretch. I get to bring in the Twisted Image, the nuts. Our Force of Will comes out here. You would normally board out a Daze, but the deck's already built that way. Like, cut a Daze, add a Brazen Borrower was on my sideboard map from the old list, but the Borrower's already in the main. So, there we go. Let's do it. A keepable hand. Watch out. The opponent went to 6. Thoughtseize ya. There's a Wasteland over there. They'll probably go for the cheese, and I think they're right to do it. Baraglyph is the long-term problem, but I have 2 pushes in my hand. I could take their Ponder and just make this what they've got for selection. I think I want to take the push, though. In the past, I've talked about Wasteland on the draw being worse and not being ideal play patterns a lot of the time, but I do actually think in this Dimir Tempo Mirror, you're supposed to take the cheese Wasteland, even if your opponent has a Netherglyph down already. All right, here's my Glyph. Finding the next land is great. That insulates. Drawing the Undercity Sewer meant I don't even have to think about casting Ponder versus Netherglyph. What did we draw? Is it a removal spell, or are we just casting that Ponder? Yeah, okay. Basic Island is the Ponder. Do not shuffle Ponder. We know they're holding a tap land over there. As long as I have a plan for Baraglyph at some point in the future, should be okay. I don't think they can afford to daze this, but go nuts if you want to. Nile Spellbomb, another Netherglyph land. How do I get all of these things accessible to me? If this were Brainstorm instead of Ponder, I would double up Netherglyph, but obviously that's just a totally different situation. So here I'm navigating when do I want to fetch and how do I want to surveil? Because I kind of want all these cards. I could surveil away Nile Spellbomb right now, which makes Murktide less of a threat. And then I untap with 3 mana, including fetch to turn on, Fatal Push. Okay, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw Pluto Delta. I'm going to sewer away the Spellbomb, which will make Netherglyph hit harder. This increases my exposure to Murktide Regent, but I do have a bunch of answers to that into the deck at this point. There's the Sewer. We knew about that one. Dumped a Daze. And you got your own Nile Spellbomb. Yep, that one's good. Their Glyph cares about both graveyards. Mine only cares about mine. That can be Fog if they want it to be. I'm going to attack with Glyph. And I want to make them do this. So here's the other Glyph. Got to put them under real pressure. Make that Nile Spellbomb something that they have to invest in. Ponder. Okay, so they can't Baraglyph this turn. I could just go for Bowmaster, but you don't really want to have the first Bowmaster on the board in a Bowmaster mirror. And I don't want to give up my guaranteed Revolt to kill Baraglyph, because that's another problem. I feel like I hesitated 1 second too long thinking about that Ponder, and now I might have given away that I have Bowmaster. Their Ponder did not shuffle, and they did hit their next land drop. If they have a Bowmaster, they can use it with Nile Spellbomb to kill one or both of my Netherglyphs here. That's pretty dangerous. All right. I'm just going to slug it out here. Like the way this would be pretty catastrophic. Okay. So what I was worried about is they play Bowmaster. They deal... Okay. They floated the black. They're trying to draw a card. Right, I am going to push a Bowmaster here now that I have two of them. Well, what I was worried about is they play Bowmaster, ping my Nethergoyf, block with Orc Army, a different Nethergoyf, and then after combat, Nile Spellbomb me. And then both Goyfs would have 1 damage on them, and there's no place in the priority or the rules where they would be any bigger. Okay, they decided after floating the black to not actually draw a card. And I didn't use my fetch to push 2 damage because I need that for Fatal Push. Wasteland gives me Revolt and makes my Goyf 1/2 again. Barrogoyf does take over games by itself, so I do have to... Like, if they just shove Barrogoyf here, I have to think really hard. Okay. Murktide dodges the whole Fatal Push subgame. Okay, well, I am, of course, worried about Barrogoyf, but I'm more worried about losing right now, so I'm gonna Petty Theft this Murktide. They dumped 1 daze. That might mean they have one already, or they don't think it's important. Alright. They did think it was important, and they do have it. Now I'm in a little bit of trouble. The damage race favors them if Barrogoyf sticks. If I draw a Fetchland or Wasteland and can turn on Revolt, then I'm fine. As they're dead in 2 hits, I'm dead in 3. But if there's a big lifelink wall between us, that's not true. And this is the value of daze. I was talking about daze not being that important to these grindy mirror matches, but my opponent wastelanded me twice. Like, they needed both of these wastelands for this daze to connect. And it is all part of the deck. I'm not saying they're lucky or I'm unlucky or any such thing. Just recognizing the pattern of it took these 2 draws to make this draw playable. Oh, Petty Thefting my Bowmaster is interesting. They must be trying to brainstorm here. All right. Okay, so that's a Ponder and a Nile Spellbomb that both were really worried about a single Bowmaster ping. Like, they could still have Borrower in hand, or they could be up an additional card here and decided to do it like this instead, which, you know, works for me. All right, cool. Now I'm not worried about Barrogoyf anymore. And they're afraid to attack with the Murktide. I think they're right. Like, they've identified what I just told you, which is they're not winning the damage race. Okay, decided it's time to attack. The Brazen Borrower could change the damage race, but they know I can kill Brazen Borrower because they just put Orcish Bowmaster in my hand. They must have some backup or some other plan. If they have their own Bowmaster, and I'm shipping this. I have a bunch of them. I've got to spend my mana. My job here is to just bash. Yeah, their own Bowmaster makes a ton of sense here. I am unsurprised and unoffended. Okay, another Fetchland's actually sick. I don't have an instant in my graveyard, so if I Fatal Push a Bowmaster, my Goyfs get a lot bigger. Would they block with Bowmaster? Probably, because we're just jockeying around this Barrogoyf right now. I think the Barrogoyf is so good that I'm just going to Bowmaster to kill theirs. If they end up with land Thoughtseize Barrogoyf next turn after I've Fatal Pushed, that is untenable to me. But they take 4 damage here down to 7. Then they either have to leave back Murktide or double counter Fatal Push. Okay, they're at 7. A Nile Spellbomb is actually really good. They have 1, 2, 3 spells in their graveyard. Nile Spellbomb almost is lethal on their own graveyard. And resetting my Goyfs again would be sad. But with 2 lands, 2 instants, I can get them back up to their same size here. Okay, they played a land. We know the Barrogoyf's over there, and there's 1 mystery card. A second Murktide's really bad, because then I can't fetch, and I can't kill the thing that's between me and their life total. I hope they just jam out the Barrogoyf here. I do have a lethal attack without it, though. Like, I don't... Fatal Push can target anything. It just only dies under certain circumstances. Okay, they're afraid to cast their Barrogoyf. Bowmaster is not great for me here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I have exactly lethal. Alright, I'm going to attack with everything. And we'll see what happens. Okay, this is aggressive, but we're in a low resource game. I'm okay with a little aggression here. This is now a lethal attack. Do they have counterplay in their one unknown card? They do not. Cool. That was a sweet, scrappy little game. Hey, they still have a bunch of dazes in. Well, we saw 2, which is the same number I have, so I guess I don't actually have any information. Or not anything that tells me about their overall strategy. Yeah, this is the deck. Doesn't really change play or draw. In we go. I am keeping the dangerous one-lander, but you saw what happens if you get greedy in game 1. Not that I got greedy, I just didn't have a hand with a land in it until I was on 4. Another Goyf. Okay. I would love to draw access to basic island here, or just another fetch land at all. Ooh, wasteland. Alright, like I said, I don't mind rolling the dice in this mirror match, even when you're on the draw and behind another Goyf. We'll see how this plays out, but if they miss their land drop here, I'm into it. It didn't miss their land drop. We'll see at what point that pays out. Like, do they miss their 3rd land drop or their 4th? Do they have to ponder right now looking for a land instead of a Tameo or a Murktide? Whatever they're doing, they found it though. They did not shuffle. Goyf's for 2. Kaito, Bane of Nightmares. Alright, that card's very expensive. I'm going to Underground Sea ponder here. Now I'm in big risk of Wasteland. I'd love to just see 2 lands here. I'll take 1 to start. I do not shuffle and draw. There's Brainstorm, Brazen Borrower on top of my deck. This Nile Spellbomb can buy me time versus another Goyf. Playing on 1 land. Not a Wasteland. Cool. We're in business. I now like my situation. They can't Murktide here. They're 1 short. Which means this tasty little Nile Spellbomb will find a home. I might get Kaito'd here, which I'm not a fan of. Okay, they missed their land drop. Alright, I'm going to fetch an Underground Sea. This shuffles away Brazen Borrower, who I don't need if they don't have a graveyard. Spellbomb you. You don't have to make black until you know. Like, when this resolves. Alright, yeah, right there. Like, last game, my opponent floated black when they activated the Spellbomb, which told me what their plan was. But you can just wait for it to resolve and then make your mana. Like, if they had responded to this ability by flashing in Bowmaster, I would have Brainstormed underneath it. And then probably also dazed the Bowmaster. Alright. Oh. Fetching before the Spellbomb resolves is awkward. That is going to cost them a damage. That's a small sequencing error. Like, whatever they're planning on doing with that mana could have been done exactly the same, but +1 damage. Yeah, they said in the chat, Arg, I misclicked everywhere. Yep, these tiny little operations are so important to playing this deck optimally. Wasteland, post-combat. I am not worried about that card anymore. Unlicensors. I'm a little worried about that card. I mean, getting dazed here would hurt. Okay, their Goyf's back up to 2-3. But they don't have an Unlicensors. I've got mad lands to play with now. But this Nether Goyf is chunking along. I'm taking damage and my opponent is not. Which, that is the only metric they're beating me on, but it is an important one. Alright, Spellbomb, sure. Fought over the hearse, lost the fight to Spellbomb. I'm not using that right now, the graveyard. It'll eventually matter, but it's not like I'm holding a Murktide or have another Goyf in play at this particular moment in time. A big Barrow Goyf. I want to basic Island and Brainstorm right now when they can't Bowmaster me and my lands can be stable forever. And I can Thoughtseize them or put another Goyf in front of them. It's actually going to be tough to put back. I want every single card that's in my hand. Kaito is probably the farthest away from immediately impacting the board. And feels weird to get rid of Tameo just on principle, but I guess I might not need Nether Goyf if I have Barrow Goyfs to put in front of their Nether Goyf. That is a big assumption, and if Thoughtseize shows me a really terrifying hand, then Nether Goyf plus Bowmaster is a double spell. Alright, I'm actually putting back Tameo. Thank you for being in the deck, Tameo, but I don't need you this time. Thoughtseize is, of course, 2 damage to me, and it might make their Nether Goyf bigger if I take a creature or instant here, which are most of the things I'd be worried about. Yeah, Barrow Goyf, Fatal Push, Murktide. Who am I worried about here? I'm not drawing cards. I have Brazen Borrower. I do not have a Fatal Push or an answer to Barrow Goyf. I think Barrowgoyf is my Huckleberry. All right, I'll take it. We're just kind of checking the boxes of what am I about to lose to? What can I answer? What can I not? I'm going to go to 5. My opponent's still at 18. Only the last life point matters. And if they play Murktide here, their Nethergoyf is 0-1. So they give up one thing for a different thing, and their Murktide's only 3-3. They drew Wasteland, which is honestly devastating. It both keeps me off of Barrowgoyfing the next 2 turns in a row and turns on the Revolt in their hand. Okay. But I am operating with good information here. I guess I'm just going to play Nethergoyf. And I'm going to use my Underground Sea to do it, because if they waste, I lose that mana anyway. Our Goyfs are the same size. Murktide could finish, or Fatal Push could finish it off. Bowmaster could finish it off. Fatal Push in my end step, you got me. I'm going to pass into their turn and then Fatal Push. I'm doing this now. If I had done it in the end step, they would have flashed in Bowmaster to push damage, and I really don't want to be that low. So the Fatal Push is gone for Barrowgoyf. Daze and Thoughtseize are the cards I have to be scared of right now. Brainstorm. All right, moving stuff around. This is the first extra point on Murktide. Oh no, the Fatal Push was there, so it would have been 5-5 on arrival. They could also just recast Nethergoyf smaller from the graveyard and go up a card here. That would be a way to navigate this. We're very close here. Somebody is going to stick a thing that turns the tides in the near future, and the other is not. Tamiyo. Okay, they've already drawn cards this turn. Oh my goodness. Well, that was a fucked up brainstorm. So the top of their deck is Murktide Bowmaster in some order. Twisted Image off the top. Children's Edict. That does not solve my imminent issues. I could jam my Barrowgoyf, trade with theirs. Then Tamiyo's active, but okay, yeah, this is what we have to do. We know what their next cards are. And if I gain 10 life to be able to start navigating this, that's a step in the right direction. I now also have 2 answers to Murktide in my hand instead of 1. I know I'm not getting dazed. If they try to get cute and like just attack with Tamiyo because they don't want to trade their Barrowgoyf, that's something I can exploit with removal. Okay, just Tamiyo coming in. Okay, if they cast Murktide here, we know what their draw was. If they do nothing here, then they have Bowmaster in their hand. The clue means they could have Murktide in their hand or Bowmaster at will. There's the waste. Okay. Fatal Push. It's looking good here. If I attack, they will probably block with Bowmaster or block with Orc Army. And then I would have to Brazen Borrow Barrowgoyf. Yeah, this is not going to work for me. All right, passing the turn. Yeah, again, 2 Wastelands is the difference. At 3 mana here, I would have the world in front of me. Okay, I will push this Tamiyo. We don't want to do that anymore. At least got that one going. Covered that aspect of the game. Edict's actually pretty bad versus the Bowmaster, which they probably should just zoot out here. Yeah, we know your hand. There's no secrets. If they top deck a removal spell, they just win. All right, there's Murktide as a 5-5. Hey, land. We're starting to push back in here. Okay, so if I attack with Barrowgoyf, they probably block with Orc Army. I go to 9. Then they attack back for a 5-6 after I bounce Barrowgoyf. And I'm more worried about Barrowgoyf than I am Murktide. Because they're the same size, except Barrowgoyf is also lifelink and all the other stuff. I could attack, see how they block, and then make a decision. Because if they just chump with Orc Army, then my Bowmaster gets to take over. Alright, I'm into that. I'm going to attack with my Barrowgoyf. If we trade Goyfs, fine. If they chump with Orc Army, my Bowmaster kills their Bowmaster. I chump block Barrowgoyf. We're okay. If they block nothing, I get a big swing here. Orc Army block. This does turn on Fatal Push. And if they kill their own Orc Army and I don't gain life, that's another whole universe of problems for me. Alright, we're going to just go into their turn. Fatal Push. Okay. We're not just going to go into their turn. We're going to Bowmaster now. While I know it works. Kill your Bowmaster. Jump block Barrowgoyf. Go back to 4 from Murktide. Next turn, bounce Murktide. Jump block again. Try to get Barrowgoyf going. I'm behind, but it's not unwinnable. Block. You know, land would be so huge here. If I could deal with both of these creatures. Oh no, don't do more stuff. No, did you draw Barrogoyf? Or Hardcast? Or no, it's Nethergoyf out of the graveyard. Yeah, adding anything to this board is good. If they had done that pre-combat, Murktide would have hit 1 point harder, which is notable. All right. Land doesn't really help anymore. Kaito's interesting. Not good enough, though. All right, what do I have to do here? I have to bounce Murktide, and then I have to chump block Barrogoyf, and then I have to try to stabilize after that. Okay, I'm just going to pass the turn and hope this Nethergoyf can't get much bigger. I'm not playing around Force of Will because it shouldn't really be in their deck right now. A fetch, this gives Nethergoyf 1 point. Undercity Sewers could give it another one. All right, that's 2 damage coming through. Not great. Okay, block the 4/5. Bounce the 6/6. Go to 2. And they can't replay Murktide right now. Daze. Oh, this kills me. Yeah, I have to fetch. This is such a sweet line that my opponent saw. This makes Goyf 3, and I have to fetch to pay for it, which is exactly the 4 damage. All right, GG. Yeah, sucks to mull to 4 and just delete one of the games in which otherwise is a really good set. But that's Magic. And I actually really like this mirror match. I'm very comfortable in it. Just knowing what's important. There's some spots where it's like, boy, I hope they didn't just brainstorm into 2 perfect cards after I just Thoughtseize them, but they did. With that, it can devolve, the Wasteland count can devolve things. But in general, knowing where the pressure points are and when to shove, when to hold back, I do actually really like this mirror match. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in round 2 with another no-lander. Okay, great 6-card hand, though. I'm going to keep this and bottom Nethergoyf. In game 1 on the draw, I would like as many responses to stuff as possible, rather than worrying about pressure right away. Oh my god, am I playing against Enchantress? Who plays Utopia Sprawl in this year? Well, I'm glad I have Thoughtseize to know what they're up to. 2 of them. Another one. Alright, Thoughtseize, take Argothian Enchantress, Green Sun Zenith. Oh, that Back to Basics isn't great either. I really want to take the Zenith, but the Back to Basics is pretty tough. This is a game that we win on the spot if we're on the play, unfortunately. I have a Brazen Borrower that could bounce Back to Basics eventually. I'm going to take Zenith, because if they get their draw engine online, if they Zenith for Argothian Enchantress, then it's really hard to catch up on anything. But I have access to my basic island here. The next land gets Brazen Borrower online. Yeah, that's fine. They can't afford to play around days, so they won't. Respect it. There we go. Now I just have it all. Now I might not even care about Back to Basics. I'm going to Thoughtseize them again. I know there's a removal spell over there, and if they drew a good card, I'd like to take it. Bright Glass Gearhulk, man. Everyone gets to play this card but me. I'm so excited about that card always. Excited to take it out of their hand in this case. Mysterian Forest. I'm probably just going to bust this Nile Spell Bomb pretty much immediately. Not like immediately, but on their end step. Ooh, a weird pause in their draw step. Do they play Miracles? I don't think the game was doing this before this turn. Am I getting a Triumph of St. Cath out of this weird Enchantress deck? Seam Rip. Alright, well, I'm just going to bomb in response. So that's kind of like I drew 2 cards, because I got the Seam Rip out of their hand. That Seam Rip will matter eventually. I'm sure Sarah Sanctum is a card in this deck. Or Destiny Weaver. There's things that would care. Okay, Thin Ice is over there and I know it. I could dance around it with Tameo. Like wait till I find a Brainstorm. I think I'll just flush it out. Just make you have it. It's not like my mana is in a great place to support holding up Brainstorm eventually. On thin ice, there it is. Okay, the next threat can start smashing. Fatal Push, not good in this matchup. Anointed Peacekeeper. Okay, suddenly Fatal Push is pretty good. I'll fetch in response. Get Underground Sea, because Fatal Push... Oh, Back to Basics is still in play, which costs for the Undercity Sewer anyway. They should name Fatal Push so they can at least lock down one of my lands here. Fatal Push confirmed. Alright. Push this thing. I think I'd like to tap the Wasteland. Leaving Wasteland up could turn on the next Fatal Push, but having more colors just seems like the way to play Magic correctly. Force of Will is a nice insurance policy, though I would have to pitch my answer to Back to Basics to do that. But if they do put an Enchantress on the stack, I'm way more scared of that than I am Back to Basics. Right, they didn't do anything. Something's happening in my upkeep. Oh, Endurance. Sure. You got it. Another Brazen Borrower. Interesting. Okay, so I'll probably Petty Theft their Back to Basics in the end step. Untap with all my mana. Wasteland can target itself if they don't give me a target. That lets me Fatal Push Endurance, and then we're chilling with all our mana up and under no pressure. All right, bounce Back to Basics. Go to my turn. I'll Spellbomb. That's so much better. Okay. Spellbomb. Bomb, you draw a card. Kaito, sick. That's a way to win this game. Fatal Push the Endurance. And pass. I think I'm going to let them Back to Basics me and then just cast Kaito on my turn. Have Force backup for it. You got it. And they saw one Brazen Borrower off the Anointed Peacekeeper. They haven't seen the Force. Oh, cool. Now I get to keep a colored mana up while I do this. Kaito time. Emblem. Just get them dead. Upkeep fetch. We're going to see a Desperate Surveil land here. Nope, still getting basics. 3 cards in hand. A land. Okay, they're on a 4-turn clock with just Kaito as he stands right now. If I plus it to 5, I can get it, them dead in 3 turns, but Nethergoyf does the same thing, and I would like to draw cards. So I'm going to attack with Kaito as a 4-power creature. It's bigger than Endurance, that's what matters. And then Surveil 2, draw, Brainstorm Ponder. I don't really like Brainstorm in a world. I guess my fetches still work. I'm going to go top, actually. Draw the Brainstorm. That'll be my pitch for Force of Will, because I already have instant in my graveyard. Next turn, I can Ponder, which makes Goyf bigger. But between Force Blue card and Bounce whatever might sneak through, I feel like I have a lot of action versus things their deck might have here. Okay, I'm going to Ponder to get Goyf bigger right now. A second Force would be great. Murktide Bowmaster. I don't need any of these. I'll shuffle it. Underground Sea. I don't need to play that yet. Endurance gets to kill Nethergoyf. Straight up. Wow, Amphibian Downpour. This rules. I think this also gets around Hexproof. Or no, because it copies the spell. So you do need to pick a... If you put an aura directly into play, that works differently than whatever. Okay, so this is a card I play in EDH quite a bit. Flash Storm Enchant Creature. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a blue 1/1 frog with base power and toughness 1/1. Yeah, you do need to choose targets for these, though. My Tatsunari Toad Rider EDH deck, which is Sultai Enchantress with a strong frog subtheme, loves this thing that makes many frogs that are also enchantments. Okay, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7. I can plus Kaito to make sure they're dead next turn, but I can also just play Brazen Borrower, so I'll do this. I'll keep drawing cards. A land to the graveyard doesn't make Goyf bigger, because that's not what we're doing anymore. Alright, I'm actually just going to bin both of these. Sick. Alright, well, how's another 4/5? That doesn't tap a real mana. Alright, pass. Amphibian Downpour isn't a great combo with traditional enchantresses like Argothian and Verduran, but it does work with Entity Tracker and Setessan Champion and Eidolon of Blossoms. Like the Constellation versus when you cast an enchantment. I'm excited to see this in Legacy, though. Opponent, very smart and handsome. Okay, we have to beat this Bant Enchantress deck. Sheoldred's Edict is great versus this sort of deck. Barrowgoyf's great. Just at bashing their head, basically, is what I want out of it. Unfortunately, Argothian Enchantress has Shroud, which means Twisted Image doesn't kill it. Engineered Explosives looks good. Force Negation's a strong maybe. We saw Anointed Peacekeeper in the deck. I have no faith in Daze here. Nile Spellbomb doesn't seem that important. Probably live without any of those. This is a deck that could play Rest in Peace, which is something that completely blanks Nethergoyf, Barrowgoyf, and Murktide Regent. I just have to at least acknowledge that that exists, even though I don't think I'm going to do much about it. I could shave a Nethergoyf. Like, Murktide's still blue, and if I'm force maxing here... Okay, -1 Nethergoyf to respect Rest in Peace. But basically, the job here is don't let them get a draw engine going, and then deal damage to them. I will keep... Orcish Bowmaster is also really good versus Enchantress. Wild Growth. My hand also plays around back to basics pretty smoothly. Basic Island, Bonder. Tameo, Engineered Explosives, yes please. I like all of those things. What I hope to do here is play Tameo, and they use like a Seam Rip or a lot on Thin Ice on it, and then Engineered Explosives can kill their removal spell, their Wild Growth, and get my Tameo back. Moonblast Cleric. When this enters, search your library for an enchantment, reveal it, put it on top. Okay. I have played with this card on this channel, I'm pretty sure. What are we interested in? Is it a Rest in Peace? Is it a win con? Is it some card I have not yet fathomed because their list is pretty unique? Curse of Silence. When it enters, choose a card name. Spells with the chosen name cost 2 more to cast. Whenever enchanted player casts a spell with chosen name, you may sacrifice this if you do draw a card. Okay, sure. I don't know what that's about, but you got it. A Bloodstained Mire, Tameo. Yeah, the Curse of Silence also dies to Engineered Explosive, so if they spend this turn going Curse of Silence plus removal spell, and then Engineered Explosive kills 3 permanents, I'm going to be pretty stoked. That's a weird thing to tutor for. They must be working towards some kind of lock. Like, do they just name Force of Will, name Bowmaster, name Petty Theft? The Curse of Silence. They named Force of Will. Okay. There's the Argothian Enchantress. Okie dokie. I think here I'm just going to fetch a Undercity Sewer. Seam Rip confirmed. Fetch for Undercity Sewer. Murktide. When do I want that? The answer is eventually. Part of the issue here, though, is that the Argothian Enchantress Explosives on 2 does deal with that. Alright, I'm going to dump Murktide. I think I want to use Bowmaster to pressure them here. I'm going to Ponder. Found a Force and another Bowmaster. I'll bank the second Bowmaster. And I don't have a blue card for Force anyway. Hopefully that looks like I was just pondering for a land and nothing suspicious. Enchantress is not optional. If they cast an enchantment, Bowmaster is going to do stuff. And I can Force of Will here. They use that curse to set up the Enchantress, betting that it'll hold in the long game. Sithis Harvest Hand, alright. Well, time to start mastering these bows. They got 1 card in hand currently. Can you deal with an insanely large orc army going along? Okay, Downpour. It's still going to happen. This is going to happen exactly the same. Alright, deal 1 to the Cleric. Downpouring the orc army actually makes it bigger. So they'll probably just put them all on Bowmaster. Yep. Okay. There's now a Sithis as well. That one dies to traditional removal. Interesting. How worried am I about this Enchantress now? I have real pressure in play. They think I don't have a Bowmaster, but I do. I could also just Explosives for 2 right now, which kills both of their Enchantresses. Kills my Bowmaster too, but it's not working. It's not really doing anything. Okay. Explosives for 2. Explode. I'll just take this 2 for 1. Which is more than that as the game progresses. I had 2 cards in their hand, 3 now. They were all drawn randomly. Like, there was no long-term plan here. They were recently Hellbent. There's a lot of bad cards in their deck, but there's also a bunch of good ones. Yeah, that's one of the good ones. How hard can we go? Do you have a 1-drop follow-up enchantment to start shredding your deck? Wow. All right, back to base. Argothian Enchantress back to basics were the last two cards. That's mostly okay because they had to lock down two of their own lands to get to that point. Okay. That's a force that is not afraid. I'm just pushing damage here. It's not like they can play around Bowmaster. All they can do is cast spells. So I'm going to do as much damage as I can right now. They get one shot on this Sarah Sanctum. This looks like a giant green Sun Zenith, maybe. Zenith for 4. I'm going to force them negation that. Curse of Silence and Shambles. And now there's Sarah Sanctum stuck under their own back to basics. Springheart and Antuco. Wow, that's sexy. I'll deal one to you. Did they cast this or bestow it? Oh, you can't bestow it. Shroud. Not hexproof. Okay, so this is some little fellas coming through. And I still have all my fatal pushes because my plan didn't really work without them. Just didn't have enough stuff to bring in. And we've seen Sithis and various lock pieces. All right, off we go. Passing back, I have to strongly consider the possibility of endurance. As much as I'd like to attack with this Bowmaster, it's too free for them to kill it with endurance. If I draw a fetch land, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Or a wasteland. I have tried to play Enchantress in the Orcish Bowmaster era, and it's a tough sell. Alright, they're doing something big. Alright, Zenith for 4. What do we got? Some sweet piece of tech, no doubt. Alright, the Gearhulk, we've already seen it. Hell yeah. That rules. 2 Onthan Ices. That's first strike, so a fetch land right now would be awesome. Or another Bowmaster. Brainstorm could still be a fetch land. Could be anything. Yikes. Alright, well, that sucks. Murktide's useless forever. And I'll redraw the Fatal Push. Thoughtseize one of these ices, I guess. Alright, they've got one of those now, and when they cast the ice, they have to draw a card, which makes Orc Army bigger than Gearhulk. And then they have to decide whether they're more worried about Bowmaster going along or the 5/5 imminently. I think they have to deal with the 5/5. Yeah, I'll go face here. Because they're at 5. You can't let that thing be around for that long. Okay, they won with Bowmaster. That means Brazen Borrower is live. Utopia Sprawl draws another card. Alright, I'm gonna just F6 here. I'm not bluffing anything. Force of Will is off. If I had Force of Negation, it would have been cast already. You're free to do what you want. Ooh, tapping the Enchantress. Do we have Court of Calling in this deck? Conclave Tribunal. Okay, yeah, well, they've answered all my problems. Rest in peace. Yep, okay. We knew that one was likely in the deck. Okay, so I have Brazen Borrower that can bounce Petty Theft. Or Petty Theft that can bounce on Thin Ice, which presents 2 fresh threats. I just have to decide when my timing is. Anointed Peacekeeper. Bummer. Alright, I think they're over the hump here. Yep, that sucks. They can see the Fatal Pushes, they can see the Petty Theft. If they name Petty Theft, though, then Fatal Push is still on. And if I ponder into a fetch line next turn, I can just Wrath their board. If they name Fatal Push, then Petty Theft is online. I could also Petty Theft the back to basics, untap, Wasteland, Sarah Sanctum, push all their creatures, and cast Ponder. They did name Fatal Push. That means I cannot bounce the thing and push all their creatures. Yeah, I can. Nope, I'm 1 short. And I know the top of my deck isn't helpful. Alright, I think I'm going to Petty Theft this back to basics. I'm drawing Murktide, which doesn't work because of Rest in Peace. Okay, Ponder. Found another Wasteland. Does that do what I need? No, I found 2 creatures that don't have stats. Gotta shuffle. Alright, they've done it. They're over the hump. That was tight for a minute there, but they made it work. Okay, what do I think about all this other stuff that's going on in their deck? The Zenith package. Dread of Night doesn't kill Sithis, and all their other things are green. I think the plan is still fine. I mean, we've confirmed Rest in Peace now. Not that I had a lot of doubt. You can consign the Rest in Peace enters the battlefield trigger, which means that whatever in the graveyard currently stays there, which lets my Goyfs be alive. We saw a bunch of Oblivion Ring effects. Alright, maybe Consign a Memory is actually good. I'm going to go minus a Fatal Push. Yeah, I think I'm going to go down 2 Fatal Pushes. We saw Sithis plus the other lock pieces where that's good, but then there's Argothian Enchantress where it's not, and then it's not even a great sell versus Anointed Peacekeeper because it costs so much. I think I'm going to go 2 consigns in. Keep. Engineered Explosives is one of my better cards here. That's one of the few ways in blue-black to destroy enchantments. I'm going to start with a Ponder. Fatal Push, Brainstorm, another land. I will take those. Wild Growth is in. I think I want to Brainstorm now. Like, Thoughtseize is in my deck. Multiple consigns. I'm going to put back one of the consigns and float the Fatal Push on top. As if they get Argothian Enchantress into play here, then the push is useless. But if they play Sithis, I just don't have to fetch. Anointed Peacekeeper, okay, so they can name Bloodstained Mire with that, and it's dead forever. So I'll sewer here. I do like Underground Sea. Just more lands seems good to me. Especially if they get tempted to name Polluted Delta and try to get clever. Yes, I could have fetched my way out of it. If they name Polluted, or if they name Bloodstained Mire, I play Delta. I draw push, play Delta, fetch. I have 2, spend the 2 to fetch, and then push. They named Engineered Explosives. So there is a hack with, I could just announce it for 0 and then spend 1 or 2 mana, colors of mana to get it in play the same, but then it will cost 4 to activate. Okay, if they're not worried about Barrogoyf, that probably means they have removal or Rest in Peace in their hand. I'm going to Brainstorm now, looking for Thoughtseize or Counterspell. Nethergoyf, Bowmaster. Alright, I'm going to get rid of the Engineered Explosives that currently cost a gajillion to use. And I'm going to float this Barrogoyf on top of the deck. And I'm just going to play Underground Sea Nethergoyf. This is bigger than Anointed Peacekeeper, and this is the spot I described of I can consign the Rest in Peace Enters trigger, and then Goyfs are 3/4 for the rest of the game, until they've drawn another Rest in Peace. Yeah, fetch. Sithis, Harvest Hand. That sucks, but okay. Rest in Peace. Alright, there it is. I was ready for this possibility. Alright, counter this ETB trigger. Goyf is 3/4 forever. Tank up time. At the top of my deck is Engineered Explosives, which actually is phenomenal on this board. X equals 2 still works just fine. Yeah, I guess I'm just going to attack with Nethergoyf. And Bowmaster kills Sithis like a boss. Okay, I am just going to pass with Bowmaster available. Brainstorm. Thoughtseize is always so good. Alright, I'm going to Brainstorm. Oh, right on time. Kaito. Good job, me. Played to my outs there. Okay, I'm going to put Underground Sea Kaito back. I'm not planning on fetching this turn. On Thin Ice. Alright, well, I would rather have Sithis dead than Orcish Bowmaster in play. Right, 1 to Sithis, and another 1 to Sithis. Now they actually have multiple choices to make with this Thin Ice. Right, Bowmaster's under there. I still have the biggest creature in play. For now. Back to basics would complicate things. Oh no, this is so much mana. Zenith for 2. Okay, this is probably an Enchantress. I guess it could be a Destiny Spinner if they just want to start winning. Right, Utopia Sprawl. Piling up on that land over there. Hey, I'd be surprised if they block here, which means Kaito's probably going to town. I am going to replay Nethergoyf this turn, so I'll fetch before damage. Swamp. Ninjutsu. I think I want to tap and stun this Peacekeeper and just focus on doing damage. Their engine's online and I'm not pressuring it. Like, I don't have a Bowmaster, I don't have a Counterspell. Enlightened Tutor. For the Rest in Peace? Or do they have Elephant Grass to really put me in the Garbo? Sithis, okay. Piling up engines here. Engines on engines. Passive life gain. Another Utopia Sprawl. There's the Sithis. Now they're going off like crazy. Ugh. Yeah, that's the one I didn't want to see. It's going to be really hard to make Engineered Explosives do anything now. But attacking for damage is still something I do. Attack with all my creatures. I do have quite a bit of damage here. It would cost them an Enchantress to block. They're at 5. I'm going to Surveil. Bowmaster would be great. Do I want these lands? They're very close to being good. If I go top, I can explosives for 2 right now. I can also just shove Barrogoyf right now. Is explosives for 2 even the answer I'm looking for? Explosives for 1 sets. Bowmaster free, but explosives for 1 is really hard to do because I have to spend 2 mana on it, and I have to get blue or black out of a non-basic. Can I afford to commit 2 entire turns to clearing out Rest in Peace, Sithis, and Argothian Enchantress? Alright, I guess I have to. I'm going to go top, play my land for turn, engineered explosives for 0. X is currently 0, but I've paid blue-black for it. That's how Sunburst works. And I'll pass the turn. They have a bunch of passive life gain here as well. They did lock down 2 of their own lands. Peacekeeper's still sleeping. And here comes the filter ramp party. Just using a wild growth land to wild growth a different land, but you draw 2 cards in between. Curse of Silence. It's just a 1-drop to filter. I don't expect it to name anything important. Force of Will. I'm already F6'd. Seam Rip. Bummer. Well, are they more worried about my creatures or my engineered explosives? Because my creatures matter a lot here too. Alright, they did take the explosives. I guess that's a reason to stack the fetch land above the regular land. Because then if they deal with that, I could fetch. Yeah, I definitely should have stacked this the other way. Oh baby, it's Gear Hulk time. That's so sick. Gear Hulk is just a 4/4 that also draws 4 and gains 2 life. Plus whatever the additional things you tutor do. Another Curse of Silence. Opponent knows I've got some Barrogoyfs in hand. I would consider this matchup bad, by the way. Just putting that out there. Naming Engineered Explosives with that. I already had one of those. I only had the one. Though it is a very important card right now. Nethergoyf is on thin ice. Orc Army is on thin ice. Kaito's about to be exiled by Conclave Tribunal. Okay, so Petty Theft is one of the last tools in my toolbox here. Yeah, now they can see the Barrogoyfs. They should be able to attack me twice in the minute 53 they have left on the clock. They named Kaito with Peacekeeper instead of Barrogoyf. I mean, with 11 cards in hand, I imagine their white deck can figure out a way to remove a creature. We've also seen Endurance in their deck, which can cover Barrogoyf. Well, the only play I have is Barrogoyf. Enjoy. Enjoy blowing me out with anything. My real path to stabilizing this game is Orcish Bowmaster, I guess. Even that's probably way too late. The Sithis has gained so much life. Destiny Spinner hard. I'm dead right now. Though if I Fatal Push a land with an on thin ice on it, they are in trouble. But they know I don't have that card. Yeah, there are 15 enchantments in play. But they do have to deal with Barrogoyf before they can animate one of them. They've done it. 18. I'm going to block that with my 1/1 Barrogoyf. Oh, do these things have trample? Okay, cool. Very dead. Yep, this is what I would consider a bad matchup, and you really need your cards to line up correctly. Like, I think I brainstormed or pondered looking for a Thoughtseize 4 or 5 times that game and never saw it. The Rest in Peace cuts off part of our action. The Back to Basics cuts off part of our action. And enough squeezes in enough small directions, and you're just out. There was a point of that game where I felt like I was ahead and they were in trouble, and then it fell apart from there. I had one turn to draw fetch land, I think it was, to like punch this Gear Hulk and get through for the damage I needed to, and I missed. And then once they start doing their thing, you're out. And although I don't expect to play against Enchantress at Eternal Weekend, you do need to select decks that have game against random bullshit. And I felt like I had game there. I didn't win the match, but I didn't feel like I was out of it. It didn't feel hopeless. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 3 with a keepable 7. I will keep it. Opponent mulled to 5. Mountain. Dragon's Rage Channeler. Mountain Dragon's Rage Channeler on a mull to 5 is ugly work. Normally, when my opponent mulls to 5, I assume something like Oops All Spells or Show and Tell or LED Echo of Eons is coming my way. When they're just like a fair deck trying to do stuff and they go to 5. Feels good. Honestly, when I saw the Mountain, I was expecting like Spirit Guide, Blood Moon, or some all in play. Right now we're in a spot where I would very much like for this first Bowmaster to come down before this DRC is Delirious. And it could go sideways right here. It did not. It's not Delirious yet. A fetch land changes that easily. Bobble. Shit. Alright, they milled over a land. Now I actually do have to work to get through this thing. They did see the second Bowmaster on their first Mistress Bobble, so they knew they had to make this happen. I don't think I'm fetching here. How bad is Wasteland for me? It's pretty bad. Alright, I will fetch. I'll get the Undercity Sewer. If I just find like a Fatal Push, we're in business. I'll take Polluted Delta. Okay, I have Brainstorm looking for Fatal Push available, or I could play Bowmaster. I don't expect them to draw a lot of cards, but they have done a lot of damage in the 2 turns that they've had to play. We'll have a spike. There we go. I'm at 10. Alright, I'm going to Brainstorm here. Looking for the goods. Just a Fatal Push to save my life. Impossible. Challenge level impossible. I don't need 2 Murktide Regents this game, and these Bowmasters are actually not looking that good anymore. I'm going to go to 7 right now. And I am going to fetch. And this may seem strange, but I'm going to aggressively Brainstorm in the end step because this gives me Murktide Regent. Right, Lightning Bolt. Force, Pitching, Ponder. All right, now I have a huge Murktide Regent, and if there's any blue cards near the top of my deck, I'll have it protected with Force. Sick. Okay. I'm going to put back Wasteland, Underground Sea, because I'm redrawing them anyway. Underground Sea, Murktide Regent, maximum size, Tamiyo, start pushing back. Force blue card, I'm at 5. They're an aggressive burn deck. This Dragon's Rage Channeler is likely to incinerate itself right now. Do I want to go to 2? Of course not, but it's happening. Alright, well, I will let the Surveil trigger resolve. They dumped a creature. I'll force that. Well, I'm at 1. They can't draw any spell for the rest of the game, basically. Block. There's no Lava Dart in the graveyard. Not dead to that. This is actually tricky, because we see Slickshot Show Off in their deck, and Monastery Swiftspear, which means I'm incentivized to leave Tamiyo back, but I also want to draw cards. I don't think I can attack with Tamiyo here. I have to cut off whatever outs I can. Like, I don't feel good here, but it would feel worse to die to a haste creature. I have to at least check that box if I have it. Bowmaster jump in. We're just hurling damage at them here, trying to get over the line. They're fetching in response to Bowmaster. Another Tamiyo. Alright, that lets me draw a card and still have a blocker. Attack with everybody. Draw a card. Well, that doesn't help anyway. Replacement Tamiyo. Pass. 1 draw step to rule them all. Yeah, basic mountain. We did it. Good thing they mulled to 5. 1 more card, I'm dead. Alright, by the seat of our pants, we have done it, and now Hydroblast and Barrowglyph come in. Strong cards against Redburn. I don't really want to spend 2 cards on any one of theirs, but I also don't want to take 3 every time they cast a spell. Children's Edict I like. I think I'm cutting Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize can be worth it. If you Thoughtseize a Lightning Bolt, you're technically up a life on that exchange. If you Thoughtseize a Slickshot Show Off or Dragon's Rage Channeler, it could be worth any amount of life. But if I'm bringing in Hydroblast and Force Negations, that's what I'm trying to do. Kaito's pretty bad in matchups like this one. You don't need a surgical tool. You need a bunch of blunt instruments. I can see Engineered Explosives being useful. But I think the Hydroblasts are going to carry. All right, let's go. Going back in. I got to worry about Price of Progress now out of the sideboard. I love the Fatal Pushes, hate the Wasteland. Gonna mulligan. All right, love this hand. Keep and bottom Bowmaster. Island, Dragon's Rage Channeler. Mishra's Bauble. They have been bobbled. Okay, they saw the Delta, so I'll use that instead of the Strand. They do the same thing here. And I'm going to pass. They might get an extra surveil or two by me waiting on Hydroblast, but if they surveil incorrectly or if they play Slickshot Show Off, those might be things I'd rather Hydroblast. Swift Spear's 2 right now. They kept the card on top with Channeler. That's spooky. I am going to not block and see if they have a spell. All right, they did not have a spell. They might still, but they don't right now. Pyroblast would be tough. I'm going to go for Dragon's Rage Channeler, not Swift Spear, because Barrogoyf can stop Swift Spear reliably in the future. I just need a future to get to. Ponder. I think I want to go Tamiyo pass with Force Up rather than try to Ponder into some action. It's just having Barrogoyf, I think, will win me this match if I don't die over the top. Sulfuric Vortex, that's the sort of shit that kills me over the top. Force that. All day. Bobble. They're going to get through Tamiyo here. I'm not willing to delete Tamiyo to gain 3 life when I'm at 17. Maybe that'll get me later, but I'd rather draw cards. Sewer. Don't need another land. Hey, bobbling me now. Wasteland, not helpful. In fact, it's extra bad because now that I guess they would have seen the card no matter what. I was about to say it's extra bad because I played Swamp, but I'm trying not to get Price of Progress if I don't have to. Okay, Barrogoyf's in play, pass. Opponent's in check, am I dead? One of us will live or die based on the health of this Barrogoyf. If they have to spend 2 bolts to kill it, that's still... I mean, that's bad for me, but it at least gains 6 life somehow. Wow, if they just pass with nothing, that's my ideal circumstance. And now I have a Force of Negation in the grip. I can hard cast that. I'm firing in with everybody. I'm not leaving Tamiyo back as a blocker. All right, what do we got here? Bolting Barrogoyf. Try to finish it off. I think this fight is serious enough that I'd like to have it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, sick. And I can waste my own Wasteland or waste my Undercity Sewer against Price of Progress. I could take 4, 2, or 0 damage. It's completely up to me. But with them this low on cards and Barrogoyf doing its thing, I'm not in a hurry to lose a bunch of life. Okay, Tamiyo can block the Slickshot Show Off. I can also flip Tamiyo this turn, guaranteed, so I'm going to take my attacks. Barrogoyf trigger, I'm at 21. We found another Goyf. I milled my other Hydroblast. Draw with a clue. It's a lot of Wastelands. Alright, I'm going to draw with a clue here and leave myself the option to play Underground Sea or Wasteland, depending on what I'm worried about. Alright, well, now I'm playing Underground Sea. I can take 6 from Price of Progress. I cannot take 85 from a Slickshot Show Off. You can tell I'm locked in right now because I haven't said any silly names for this card. I've called it Slickshot Show Off every time. Lightning Bolt, Tamiyo. Alright. Yeah, if they got to use bolts to try to 2-for-1 themselves on Barrogoyf and just to weaken a Tamiyo, like, this is why you don't really see burn in the format. It is a hostile time with just regular cards to be an aggressive red deck. Price of Progress, you got me, I take 6. Barrogoyf going for it. It hits. Oh wow, I hit Barrogoyf, Nethergoyf, Bowmaster. I'll take another Barrogoyf. Goyf theme deck. Plus Tamiyo. Play Wasteland. Play Barrogoyf. Play Nethergoyf. Leave the Wastelands up. I'm not going to cast Brainstorm this turn, but I might want to gain 8 life against a Price of Progress. We got the GGs. All right. We're on the board. On to the next one. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I'm on the play in round 4. I'm going to keep. This is a huge skill tester hand. There are matchups you'd like to Thoughtseize, there are matchups you'd like to develop Tameo, and there are matchups you want to ponder to make sure you don't get wastelanded. I'm going to ponder. I feel like that is my biggest stress point of this hand right now. Oh, look at that. Bound Force of Will anyway. That does the work of Thoughtseize, and then I have 2 Underground Seas under this. So I like my situation at this time. Once upon a time. There are matchups where it's right to force Once Upon a Time, but in the blind, I generally don't go for that. I got Saga. All right, Wasteland. So this probably lands. It's nice to have Nile Spell Bomb versus lands. Right, I know I'm drawing a land again next turn. Thoughtseize. Don't show me 7 lands. Oh, wow. It's Loam Pox. Let's fucking go. All right, I'm having a good time now. Witherbloom, Spell Bomb, the various poxes. I'm actually really worried about Smallpox. All right, I'm going to take Smallpox and hope they don't draw Mox Diamond right now. Just a little Verdant Catacombs. Didn't develop the Nile Spell Bomb either. Not afraid of Entomb Reanimate. Okay, I'm going to go Tameo Spell Bomb here. If they play Smallpox, I will force pitching Ponder and then try to Murktide them next turn. They can't currently cast the Smallpox. They need another black. I can blow out the Loam with Spell Bomb. They kept a card on top. Another Wasteland. They should probably cast Loam with this. Nope. All right. Just going for it. Going straight to the head. And your own Spell Bomb. You got it. I will not be fighting over that. Brazen Borrower. Pretty sweet. All right, Ponder finding a blue source here would be, or a black source here would be the best. Ponder. Shit. All right, well, I got to shuffle. Well, bad news, team. The Wastelands have worked so far. We can't let any more of them happen. Saga developed. I'm just going to bomb in response to Loam here, if that's what happens. Yeah, taking out 2 Wastelands feels fine to me, even if the Loam itself gets to stick around. Another Spell Bomb. Attack with Tameo. I think I like Goyf here. Want to apply that pressure. It's that or develop a second Spell Bomb and probably... I wouldn't pick off the Loam right away. I would let them dredge and try to figure that out. They dredged a Mox Diamond, a Verdant Catacombs, and a Hogak. Loam targeting Catacombs. You got it. Kaito. Come on, man. All right, attack. They took the damage, and I am going to pass into their turn with this Spell Bomb available. I could take out Loam and Gak right now, but if they spend some effort doing anything else here, I'm into it. Like, I want to get as much as I can. Yeah, I was hoping that they would spend their Spell Bomb now, because now I can Spell Bomb after this, which puts a stat back on Nether Goyf. Oh, shit. I was supposed to do it there. God damn it. I blinked for... I was busy narrating and forgot that they can dredge off of this Nile Spellbomb Loam. Or draw. Alright, yeah, that was bad. And dredge they did. Okay, luckily it wasn't too bad. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. If Urza's Saga has access to a Pithing Needle, this could become complicated. Alright, I'm gonna let this resolve and just hope they don't have a Pithing Needle, because bombing them now, leaving Saga in the graveyard and Loam in their hand is also something that's not going to work for me long term. My house just lost power. I'm going to pause the recording and hope it comes back soon. Well, folks, unfortunately, whatever power surge just occurred fried my router. I am on the phone with internet support to get new physical hardware to my home. The power came back immediately, but the router died in the process. Round 4 is dead. I will be back whenever I have internet to do round 5. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I am back. It's the next morning in real life. The Verizon tech has come, and we're back in business. Round 5, I'm on the draw. I'm going to keep. This is what we do with this hand, or with this deck. We keep the one-landers, because we have 5 different sick plays on one. It's a shame that last match got cut off because it looked like it was shaping up to be really interesting. Like the next 1 or 2 turns in that Lone Pox match were going to really set the tone for the rest of the game. And one of us was about to pull ahead, but such is the nature of live recording. Opponent's on a mull to 5 so far and still thinking about it. I'm a little worried about that because not only am I soft to any sort of combo, I'm also soft to Blood Moon and Chalice of the Void. They had Ancient Tomb pass. I was going to Thoughtseize them, but I just found this Wasteland. Yeah, I'm taking that. If Ancient Tomb pass was their play from 5 cards, this feels so sick. I'm still soft to Chalice or Blood Moon, but they have to do a lot of work to find a Blood Moon here, and they didn't have Chalice last turn, so how would they have it next turn? If their mull to 5 was 2 Ancient Tombs and they top deck a second Chalice, or a first Chalice, I guess. I think the Wasteland's better because that functionally Thoughtseizes all of the 3-drops out of their hands temporarily, where Thoughtseize just takes one of them forever. And if they, like if I Thoughtseize them now and their hand is like Mountain, Blood Moon, Fable the Mirror Breaker, or Broadside Bombardier, I'm dead. Or even worse, just 2 Blood Moons. Wow, no follow-up play. That's good news for me. Now I want to Thoughtseize them and see what's cooking over there. Like, I'd at least like to know what color of deck I'm playing against for game 2. If they feel this is hopeless, okay, well, they didn't concede. All right. I thought it was possible they might concede to this Thoughtseize, and that didn't happen, but okay. They got a lot of work to do here. What do I think this is? Is this like Blue Painter with a Wizard's sub-theme, or is this some different... Is this a brew? I think I just want to take Force of Will and make my cards work. Yeah, I think they got a lot of work to do before any of these other cards get on the stack. And that's the free one. They pass back without a play. Now I have a force. I'm going to ponder here, because if I find a land, I could start double spelling. And if they force a negation of this ponder, go nuts. Land double Bowmaster, I'm in. I could develop Tamio here, and I do have the Brainstorm to flip her. I could start hitting them with Nethergoyf. I am likely to want to Brainstorm next turn anyway. So I could go Tamio Brainstorm all next turn and start applying damage. All right, I'm going to do that. The Goyf is in. Okay, Glimmer Post. Okay, so they're the blue post deck. I guess I could have deduced that. But Tamio. I know they have a Force of Negation, which would be a pretty strong thing to use. Oh, Force of Will pitching Thundertrap Trainer. I'll Brainstorm in response and see where this gets me. All right, it did not get me anywhere where I would be excited to use my Force of Will. I'm going to put back Push and Bowmaster. And Nethergoyf's going to be +2 from that exchange because that's an instant and a creature in my graveyard now. And we're taking chunks. I can play Murktide here, but I'm going to have to math out the clock to see if that makes sense to do. As casting Murktide, it would be 6/6, but it would make Nethergoyf 1 power. So it'd be -3. I would be net +3 power to the board. They would be on a 2-turn clock to Murktide plus Nethergoyf, but they're on a 2-turn clock to Nethergoyf plus Bowmaster, so I am not going to play my Murktide here. All right, cool. They've had enough. The old mull to 5 died a Wasteland. I know that feeling from this league opponent. I'm with you. Okay, this is kind of a cool, newer deck that exists in the format now, this blue Cloud Post deck. It's very strong, but we are a deck with 4 Wastelands. I'm into Consign to Memory. Gargoyf's always a strong consideration. Daze, if they're on a tight squeeze, like if they're on like double Ancient Tomb One Ring, Daze is game breaking. If they have Cloud Post, Daze is worthless. I am a Wasteland deck, which can make Daze relevant for longer. Also on the draw where Daze is worse. Nile Spellbomb's a 0. That one's out. Fatal Push is pretty mid. They might have things like Tishana's Tidebinder, and we saw Thundertrap Trainer. Sheoldred's Edict can get some big stuff. And they do have Karns and Ugins in their deck, which Sheoldred's Edict is worth consideration for. They're a Kozilek's Command deck. They do have Chalice of the Void, which makes Engineered Explosives a consideration. Oh, Force of Negation. Yeah, if I'm just trying to hammer out big stuff. Okay, this is going to be fine. I'm out on Fatal Pushes. Daze is gone. Engineered Explosives gives me one additional answer to a Chalice, which is devastating for my deck. All right, I'm on 0 days, 9 cards coming in. I could keep the dazes and not bring in Barrogoyf. That is something I could consider, but I think I have enough blue cards, and I don't really believe in daze anyway. Okay, my hand is solid. A Force a Wasteland and some pressure. I'm in. Opponent kept 7 this time. Bad news. Cloud Post. I think it's right to just pop that off. I could try to add pressure and then next turn like waste them, hold up Consign while I'm hitting with Nethergoyf, but if they cast Chalice of the Void on the turn I give them, that's pretty embarrassing. Thoughtseize. We love this one. Have a peek. Wowie zowie, look at this hand. That is, all right, 4, 8, 12, 19, 22. 22 mana's worth of spells and no lands to cast them. 23 if we count Chalice on any number other than 0. Okay, I guess it's Chalice. That's the closest one to impacting the game. It's also the one I am just abstractly most afraid of. Okay, they don't want to play anymore. Weird. Okay, kind of a tough league with the tech issues and also just mulling to oblivion a couple times, but all of that aside, it is one of the things that is very important in deck selection for a tournament when you can identify how the deck is actually working rather than whether you're winning or losing. Like, oh, this league doesn't matter. Any league you play doesn't matter. What matters is, do you see the infrastructure? Do you understand what the format's about? Do you understand what your deck's role is in the format? Do you feel like you had reasonable game in the games you played, even the ones where you lost, where it's like identifying a spot where it was close, but my opponent drew a good card on a turn where I drew a bad card, and then it spiraled out, or I just mulled to 4 without looking at a land one time. I'm not gonna put that into the data, All of the games felt really good. Like I was playing Thoughtseize as a rock star. Tameo, obviously a rock star. None of the tech came up. The Twisted Image, the Dread of Night, the main deck Brazen Borrower. It just didn't really materialize this time around, but I still like it all in theory. Yeah, I am locking this deck for Eternal Weekend. It might not be this exact 75, but it's probably going to be at least 72 of this 75, and I am excited about it. This video is also going to come out at some point when we're in striking distance of the next ban update, where like right now in real life, in recording time, Eternal Weekend is just around the corner. And then the space between Eternal Weekend and November 10th is going to be kind of lame duck legacy, where everyone is going to expect changes, but we were expecting changes last time and didn't get any, but the possibility of changes will be on the future. And then after November 10th, it'll be just shotgun into Eternal Weekends, Italy and Japan, and everyone's going to be working really hard with whatever the format is, whether there's changes or not. So this is going to drop in kind of a dead zone, and it might not be relevant 2 weeks from now, but right now it feels really good. Our goal, thanks for the chance to test for Eternal Weekend. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel. I'll see you next time.